All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays. They work in your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the ASAP Sports Network. I am Ace from the West Coast, and I am joined tonight by none other than J-Mac in the penalty box. How's it going tonight?
Yeah, because if I played hockey, I'd be in the penalty box a lot. Let's just say that. And I'm excited. I've been excited for this all week. Like, I'm ready to go for this show. This is it. Let's do it.
All right, and then, of course, tonight we're also joined by none other than, that's right, he's new to ASAP. Welcome in, Mr. Greg Gallino. How's it going tonight, buddy?
Oh, it's going pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. So just so all of our viewers know, tonight you're actually watching the debut show called What the Puck. And What the Puck is simply strictly NHL. That's right. This is an NHL show. So if you are an NHL fan, you are going to love this show. But before we go ahead and jump into our topics tonight, of course, we have a little bit of that housekeeping we need to take care of. So the first thing that we're going to watch is a little ad from Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. So Mr. Nate the Great, go ahead and take it away.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
So we got to see a little bit of Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. Now, with that, we're going to get to jump into our next ad, which is, you know why? Because it's some delicious barbecue sauce. All right, so Mr. Nate the Great, show us that.
Jelly
and jam, yeah, but I'm all over it just for barbecue sauce. So
yeah.
Nate the Great, go ahead and pull up that ad of Misty Meadows. Delicious jelly, delicious barbecue sauce, delicious jam. I love it. It's all around. Delicious, delicious, delicious. Now, of course, before we go into our topics again, J-Mac, tell us, how can you win one of those awesome ASAP Network t-shirts?
Man, I'm telling you, this is one of the easiest things you can ever do. If you're watching right now, which there are some of you watching, so I know that you can feel me on what I'm saying here, down there where it says write a comment, guess what you do? You write a comment. You hit submit or send or the little arrow thing in there, and it pops up here and we see it. At the end of the month, we tally those up. We tally those up. We tally likes and we tally shares. At the end of the month, you can become the viewer of the month and win that T-shirt right there.
And you know what's interesting about that is, let's say you cannot hop on and you cannot leave a comment, but you still want one of those shirts. Guess what? Do you have a $20 bill in your pocket right now? Do you have one? And here's why. Because if you have a $20 bill in your pocket and you're like, you know what? I need an awesome shirt. Guess what? You can use a $20 bill, but it's not going to even cost the whole $20 bill. It's going to be cheaper than $20. It's $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Now, that's from sizes small to 2XL, but we can get you some bigger sizes. But if you do want a bigger size, it is going to cost, I think it's like a couple bucks more per size. But all you got to do is hit us up, let us know, and we'll get you one of those amazing T-shirts. All right. So with that being said, we're going to jump into our first topic of the night. So welcome to the very first topic of the NHL show called What the Puck. And I'll tell you what, we've been excited for this all week. We've been waiting for it. And Greg Gallino, guess what? You have the pleasure of answering the first question here on What the Puck. So the first question is, pertains to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is the Toronto Maple Leafs for real?
I think that the Toronto Maple Leafs are for real. It's hard to tell so much because of the COVID schedule. They're playing all teams from Canada right now. So they haven't played any of the teams right now in the United States. But, yeah, they're sure looking good. I think they are legit. We got Austin Matthews. He's leading the league right now with 11 goals. Mitch Marner, he's third overall in the league in points. I think that they got a great team. I think they got great chemistry. I think they could do some damage in the playoffs. But like I said, they haven't played anybody in the States yet because they got all these restrictions of having to stay, in their own country right now, at least for this part of the season. But yeah, I'm all in on the Maple Leafs. I think they're pretty legit.
So Greg, let me ask you this question. Do you think that people are scared to call Toronto the best team in the NHL because of their restrictions on COVID and that they can't play any of the U.S. teams?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are a little bit scared of that because, you got teams in the States with Tampa Bay. They've got really good thing going. I mean, they haven't missed a beat, even with Kucherov out for the season with his hip injury. You got a team in the Colorado Avalanche that's just coming on like gangbusters. They got a pretty good offense. They don't have, a whole lot of points yet. They're kind of in the middle of the pack right now. But yeah, you got some good teams showing some steam. You got the Las Vegas Knights. They got a pretty good firepower. So I think that a lot of people are kind of hesitant to put Toronto up at the top just because they haven't played, the Tampa Bays and the Vegas Knights and some of these other teams like the Avalanche to really test, So it's going to be interesting to see. It's kind of weird right now because you pretty much have the NHL, you got Canada, all those teams are playing in Canada, and then the United States teams are playing all the teams in the United States, so you don't really know exactly who really matches up great or not. But I do think that Toronto is legit. I think that they're probably, in my opinion, a top 3 team.
Yeah, and don't forget about the Dallas Stars too, because the Dallas Stars is definitely up there as one of those legit teams. But now I'll go to J-Mac on this. So J-Mac, you tell me, is Toronto for real? I can't hear you.
Sorry, my bad. Had the mic off. That's my bad. What I was saying is I searched and looked and tried to find a reason to come on here and tell you that the Toronto Maple Leafs are not for real. I wanted so badly to find that and tell you that, but I can't. The only knock I can give them, like my co-host Greg already brought up here, is they haven't played any of the American teams. So that's probably their only knock, but that's not really their fault when that's what the NHL decided they were doing this year and making an all-Canada division. But if you go through the leaderboard and some of the guys that are leading their team right now, he brought up that Matthews has 11 goals. That's in 14 games, by the way. That's pretty good. Mitchell Marner has 15 assists in 14 games. That's really good. Mitchell Marner has 21 points overall. But an interesting one that I always look at is power play goals. And it's a stat that a lot of guys don't talk about, but it's very important. And John Tavares for them has 4 PowerPoint goals this year. And that's taking advantage when the other team is at a disadvantage on the ice. And that there's not enough can be said about that, about taking advantage when they're playing playing a skater down. So, it's kind of crazy how good they're playing right now. And then you got Anderson at the goalie that's got 9 wins. But the one that gets me is Jack Campbell for their goalie, and he has a 92% save rate. 92%. Think about that. So, I mean, that's unheard of. That's great, and that's why they're playing so well right now. And I think they keep playing this, and they play. Let's face it, they play in the same division right now as Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And they are 2-12. They don't even have any regulation ties. I mean, they're 2-12. They have 12 losses, period. So if you can beat up on a team like that over and over again and take advantage of it for the season, are you legit? Yeah, you are. And maybe you get blasted in the playoffs. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how all that goes. But for right now, yeah, they're legit.
So I'll start out with this with you because, number one, you have to feel good for Toronto Maple Leafs. You have to. Because of how many seasons people have ragged on Toronto saying, that they were one of the worst organizations ever in NHL because they're rarely ever good. I mean, let's start right there. They're rarely ever good. Now, I know you're talking about Tavares, and don't forget about Nylander too. Now, that line has MVP like potential there. But however, the one interesting thing about it is if you think about it, they haven't been firing on all cylinders like they could be. So that's kind of the interesting aspect of that. Toronto is doing this with everybody not even being firing on all cylinders. So imagine what they can do when they actually start to live up to their potential, play as well as they could. And then you're talking about Austin Matthews, which right now, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but Austin Matthews could be potentially brought up as the NHL's best player. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but you could bring him and put him in that conversation. Austin Matthews, what? Go.
I mean, well, how can you argue with the way he's played this year? I mean, you really can't. And yeah, he definitely could be the player of the year. And I just want to say though that everyone, everything that I read, everyone was way against this team. They said they're not making the right moves in the offseason. And their biggest offseason splash was signing 41-year-old Joe Thornton, and everyone was like, "Man, what's that going to do for your team?" Well, to me, he's brought some veteran leadership to that team, and even if he's not out there, if he's not part of the first line or the second line, but he is there on that bench bringing veteran leadership that cannot be duplicated. You can't express enough how important it is to have that veteran leadership there on the bench to compose those younger guys and be like, hey, we haven't won anything yet. Just keep it down. And so Joe Thornton, to me, bringing him in just as a veteran leader did huge wonders for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And I don't know if you guys agree with me on that, but that's how I see that.
Well, besides him, I've actually said that Toronto Maple Leafs have one of the best rosters in the NHL. Like, people look at this roster and they don't talk enough about how good this roster actually is. They have really constructed a great roster. Now I do want to touch on how we've been talking about Austin Matthews a little bit. The big thing about this is that a good stat is that when you look at his 5-on-5, he's leading with 5-on-5 goals. Now, I know one of them people would say, oh, well, one of those was off of his leg, so how does that count? I don't care. A goal's a goal. So it doesn't matter that one of them went off of his leg. But then you look at Freddie Anderson, like you were saying, the goalie. This is the interesting thing about Freddie Anderson when you really, really think about it, is that Freddie Anderson this whole time has kind of been anywhere from amazing to horrible. And now I know his percentage is right around just under 900 at this point. But imagine what it could be. It could be a lot better. So with him being right now anywhere from amazing to horrible, imagine if he just stays at that steady ground and plays at an amazing rate. This team has so much potential right now. This team is one of the best, if not the best team in the National Hockey League. Now Now, I don't want to put them above Tampa Bay Lightning because right now you can't. You can't because Tampa Bay Lightning is the defending champs. So you cannot put them above them. Can they compete with them? Absolutely. I think they could. I really think they could. And this Toronto Maple Leafs team, for the first time in a long time, they're legit and they're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad you brought up the points about Freddie Anderson. Now, remember, he's only playing because Campbell is on injured reserve right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that thrusted Anderson into the role. And I got to say, when you're not expecting to go out there and be the starter and playing, and he's got 9 wins. He's not even supposed to be the guy out there, and he's got 9 wins. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, and the interesting aspect about it is when you're a Toronto Maple Leafs team that is number 1 in the NHL right now, and you're not even playing up to your full potential. Like, they've had a lot of luck this season with luck goals and second chance shots and everything. It is amazing that you're like, wow, if this team is that good with a lot of luck, imagine what they can be when they're full healthy and they're clicking on all cylinders with that chemistry. So
yeah, absolutely.
So, Greg, what else do you have to say on this? I mean, when you look at this, do you think that once they get that chemistry down even more because of all this luck that they have, that they're going to even be a better hockey team?
Yeah, I do. I think that luck has a lot to play into how Toronto's playing. But, yeah, like you're saying, if they can all click and come together and get their team chemistry, they're going to be a very scary team come playoffs. And speaking of luck, I mean, Tampa Bay is, they haven't really missed a beat so far with Kucherov gone. But since he is out for the season, that may be a really good point where Toronto could take advantage of that. If they could get everybody playing, I think that they could maybe take out Tampa Bay if they could really get clicking. I really think that they're that good right now.
So J-Mac had mentioned at this point in time that you have to put Austin Matthews in the MVP race. So, Greg, do you agree with that right now you have to put him in the MVP race?
Absolutely. He's leading the league in goals right now. He's playing very, very good, unselfish hockey right now. I would put him right up there. Mark Stone is another guy that's on fire. He's on pace to score like 90 points, 90 to 95 points or so this season in a shortened season. But yeah, I'd put him right up there. Probably, I'd say I'd put him in the top 4 or 5 right now in the race. I don't know if the scoring is going to keep up, but yeah, 11 goals in 14 games. Yeah, absolutely.
So before we go away to our next topic, I will briefly get your guys' just prediction really quick on how far you think Toronto goes in the playoffs. So Greg, I'll go ahead and start out with you quick. How far do you think Toronto goes?
I'm thinking that they're going to go at least to the finals. I have them as a potential Stanley Cup pick,
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I do. I think that right now they're clicking. A little bit shorter season. Like I was saying, it's hard to tell exactly how well they're going to do against some of these teams stateside because they haven't really been tested by Tampa Bay or Vegas or Dallas or Colorado or even a Boston Bruins. But yeah, I think they can make a pretty good run.
Wow, I must say I was a little bit surprised about that because right now they're currently obviously one of the best teams in the NHL. I said that they are for real. The one thing that I'm concerned about is can they keep this going all season? And I obviously know they're making the playoffs. That's my number one thing. But I don't know how far they can go. They don't have enough experience to me to make a deep playoff run. So, J-Mac, what is your thought? How far can they actually go?
I don't think that they're beating the Lightning. I don't think they're beating the Lightning. I don't even know if they'll beat the Bruins. The Bruins that's a story for another day. The Bruins are insane right now, far and away They might be better than the Lightning. I can't believe I just said that, but it's
No,
true.
no,
They
you
might
can't.
be better.
You
They
can't
might
come
be better than the
You
Lightning
can't come
right
out and
now.
say that. There's no way you can come out and say that they're better than the Lightning.
The Bruins?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't come out and say that. The Lightning
can
is
come
the best team in hockey. How can you say that when Tampa Bay Lightning is the defending champs?
I just think they're right. Maybe the Bruins are right now. But my point is that I think Toronto will win their division easily, pretty easily. I think that they'll win that. They're 5 points up right now. But if you look at their schedule, by the way, their next 4 games is Montreal on Monday, and then Wednesday they play Ottawa, and then it'd be Thursday they play Ottawa, and then next Saturday they play Ottawa. 3 games in a row against probably the worst team in the league. So there's 3 more wins. I mean, you're talking, 14 wins, 18 games into the season. It's going to be pretty good for them. But I don't think that they're going to get past the second round because they'll run into they'll run into the Lightning or the Bruins.
Yeah, they're going to run into a buzzsaw.
And they'll compete. It's not like the Lightning is going to come in or the Bruins are going to come in and beat them 4-0. They might get a game or 2 in there, but in the end, those 2 teams will pull it out.
All right. So, any remaining thoughts from you, Greg, before we move to our next topic?
I don't have any more remaining thoughts. I just know that on paper, this is early in the game. I mean, we're only 14, 15 games in, but I do think that Toronto's, they've made some moves. They got a pretty good lineup. I think that, they might not make it too far, but I think that right now, if they can get things clicking and not have to rely on so much luck, I think they could really do some damage in the playoffs.
All right. And J-Mac, how about you? Any remaining thoughts?
I mean, I pretty much said everything I had to say on it, but I still think the Bruins might be better than the Lightning. I know you didn't want to hear that, but
and for any NHL fan that is watching this show, I want to publicly apologize for this nonsense that J-Mac in the penalty box is trying to bring on What the Puck right now and try and say that the Bruins are better than the Tampa Bay Lightning because that is complete and utter ridiculous. And I'm sorry you had to hear that. But all right, so we're going to move on to our next topic now, which our topic, let me tell you this, just so everybody knows, I am a Red Wings fan, and J-Mac is a Red Wings fan. So this is what really pains. This is why this topic really, really hurts. Because the Red Wings have been terrible. I mean, terrible for multiple years now. They've been in that rebuilding mode for several years now. Now, Greg, do you have a favorite hockey team?
I do. I'm a long time suffering Islanders fan now, but when I was growing up, they were on fire.
Okay, so you're an Islanders fan. Okay, so we have an Islanders fan, and then we have 2 Red Wings fans. So this topic is kind of painful because, man, first off, when you look at what's the first move that Red Wings need to do to become a contender, well, that's tough. Because you really only have one perennial all-star on this team. That's pretty much it. And that's Larkin. Other than that, you got to pretty much restart from the bottom and rebuild this whole team. I know we've been trying for multiple years, and we just can't do it. So, J-Mac, with you, I'll start with you. What do you think is the first move that they need to make to actually become true contenders?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Larkin is about the only thing we got going. I mean, Bertuzzi's got 5 goals, but I don't really know what else to say other than that. Yeah, he might have the 5 goals, but Larkin still leads in points, and but the points are few and far between. That's the biggest problem in Detroit right now is we just can't score. I mean,
we can't stop anybody.
Yeah, no, we can't. We don't have a great defense. great defenseman either, but
The one
our top goalie has 2 wins. Like that, you just brought up a good point, and I'm sorry I didn't say that first. Our top goalie has 2 wins. 2.
Now, the one thing that I've been actually kind of excited about that I'm hoping it rounds out into a good pick was when we got Chase Bradley in the second round. I was really hoping that Chase Bradley would be that second round steal, but he has not lived up to that potential yet. And I think it's there. I think it can come out. If you have Larkin and Chase Bradley, that could be a dynamic duo, but you have to go out and get more because now that's all you got. And you have to go out, you have to get a decent goalie.
That's number one.
Number one to start
right
with,
now.
you have to.
You're right. And I should have agreed with you on that point, and I completely I should have. Goalie. We got to get a goalie, even if it's an above average goalie right now, because we got nobody in the net. Nobody. We might as well play with an empty net every single play, every single face-off, every single time. We might as well play with no goalie because it's pretty much the same thing back there anyway, because we got nobody.
Yeah. Absolutely. Our highlight win this year was giving Florida their first loss. That was their highlight. That was their highlight win. So to me, when we were able to,
if I'm not wrong, we had to score 4 goals to do that because we gave them 3.
So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, hey, you know what? That is my Stanley Cup this year. Was that we beat Florida? So I'm like, that was our championship win. So thank you. We beat one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. And we're not going to see it again because we need so much help. So with this one, Greg, so not being a Red Wings fan, you've heard from the Red Wings fan what we need to do first, which is obviously goalie, because our goalies right now are just not good. Where would you go if you were the Red Wings? What move would you make first?
Well, you guys hit it right on the head with the goalie thing, but I mean, it's obvious that the Red Wings need some scoring too. Whatever they decide to do, they have to do it quick because I think that Dylan Larkin, I think his prime year is going to be 2022. They only have Mantha signed until 2023. So they got Mantha and Larkin coming up on contracts that need to either be extended or figure out what they need to do with those guys. Detroit has a fairly deep farm system. And
sorry, I laughed.
I love it when people tell you that there's no Greg, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you, brother. I'm just saying, man, thank you, because there is no politer way to tell someone that their team sucks than to tell them, by the way, you got a deep farm system. Like that's the number one, that's the politest way to tell someone, by the way, your team sucks.
Well, I'm not trying to flat out say that your team sucks, okay? I'm just saying that they supposedly have some decent players, you know, kind of in the minor leagues and you know, in the semi-pro hockey or whatever you call it. You know, so yeah, the Detroit Red Wings, they're not good right now, but if I was Steve Yzerman, I'd start making some moves. I mean, he's got to sign people. He's not really signing people long term.
Oh,
he does have a couple guys that he's been looking at, but yeah, like I said, with Mantha and Larkin coming up with their contracts being due in 2023, 2024, he's going to have to find a little bit more scoring. Their scoring is just barely above what it was last season, which wasn't great. I mean, it was terrible last year, and it's not much better this year. They got a pretty good young team, but as we've seen in professional sports, sometimes it takes a long time for very young teams to really gel and find their way. And I think that's what Detroit's doing right now is they're kind of on a rebuild. They need to find a goalie. They need to find some better scoring. You know, their defense just hasn't been very good. But yeah, I mean, they got some decent players. They got Tyler Bertuzzi. They got Philip Roenick, Robbie Fabry. I don't know how many of these guys, young guys, are going to stick around, but they got a pretty good little nucleus right now of young talent. But I think they need to go get a few veterans that know how to get the puck into the net.
So, Greg, it is completely okay with us to come out and just flat out say that the Red Wings suck, because I know that that's where you're going with, and it's completely okay to come out and say it because we know the truth. So it's okay. But
Yeah.
But I did just get an update on my phone that Victor Matei from the Montreal Canadiens has actually has the defensive man for the Montreal Canadiens has actually requested a trade, and that the Red Wings are actually in play for him. So Victor Matei, he's 22 years old. You do know that the problem is with Victor Matei, though, is if you remember, when he started his career, he went 127 games before he scored his first goal. But once he scored his first goal, he ended up getting 3 more. Now, as 22 years old, that is young. So when you're a defensive man, generally you hit your prime at a little bit older of an age, right around 24, 25, or maybe even 26 is when you start hitting your prime as a defensive man. So he still has, I'd say, about another 3 years before Victor Matei actually reaches his potential. So for me, I would be okay with it as long, let me say this, as long as you're not going to get rid of Chase Bradley or Larkin. Those are two you cannot get rid of. Bring in Victor Matei to help you on the defensive side, and you never know what's going to happen. Maybe Victor Matei getting a fresh start. Maybe that's what he needs. But
okay, it's possible. But I gotta ask though, like, if you look at who is, you got your GM, which is Steve Yzerman, and my goodness, the guy is way better hockey player than he is a hockey GM, that's for sure. And then I'm wondering, here, I have a question. So are the Detroit Red Wings the only team in the league that try to have their head coach and both their assistant coaches look exactly the same? 3 old bald guys with glasses. Seriously, they all look the same. And then our goaltending coach is a joke. Like, that's the first person that should be gone. Jeff Soljalko, I believe is how you say his name. Like, it should be Sajoko, because the guy is just terrible. Terrible.
So
Yzerman is not a good GM.
Yeah,
unless he pulls up this trade, he can salvage it.
Well, okay, I'm not going to say by pulling off this trade that's going to salvage anything, because Yzerman's still not going to be that GM that's not going to put him on a pedestal to where Detroit's going to be like, this guy's awesome. But because what is Yzerman known for in Detroit? Yzerman is clearly that GM that has not been afraid to add low-risk, short-term contracts. That's what he's done. And what it's done is hasn't panned out to anything.
No.
So at some point, Yzerman has to change his direction and be like, you know what? We need to try something else, because this clearly is not working.
Yeah. I was excited when he became the GM. I thought, here we go. We're gonna bring some more Stanley Cups home, because Yzerman did it for us on the ice. He's gonna do it for us in the front office. And guess what, Steve? That's all I got for you. The shake of the head, man. Like,
do you now
what?
Here's my question. Do you think that part of the problem on the Red Wings is that our youngest defensive man is 26 years old?
That's
everybody else. Everybody else is over 26. They're 26 or older. That is concerning, because that means they're not getting any younger. And so for me, you need to start bringing in some fresh people. You need to bring in some young guys, and maybe you can turn it around.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're old and we show it though. Like there's some teams that have veteran players and are older that don't show it. No, we show it. We show it every single game. You watch them just race down the ice, and there's our defensive men trying to catch him, and they're like, "Oh, here he comes! I'm going to get him!" Oh, he got by me because we got 50-year-old guys out there as our defensive men.
Yeah, so maybe we can sign Guy Germain because he can really fly. From the Mighty Ducks, maybe we can sign him because he can really fly. But when you think about it,
he's older than I am now, so he's probably in his 40s.
So let me throw some stats out there for you from Victor Mete. So Mete has played in 173 career games. Okay, and in those 173 career games, everybody knows that he went 127 games before he actually scored his first goal. Now, after scoring his first goal, he's got a total of, if I remember right, and this is Mate. So Mate had 11 points in 51 games when he played with the Montreal Canadiens. 11 points in 51 games. And so to me, I mean, it's concerning, but it could still help the Red Wings.
You got to try something. Honestly, it can't get any worse.
So we do have a comment on the side here from the wife, actually, my wife right now, which likes NHL also, but she's actually a Sharks fan, and I can't believe what I'm just seeing that she put on there. But she said, "Go Sharks! They are going all the way this year. Just watch and see." And,
you know what Sharks fans are in the NHL? Do you want to know what Sharks fans are? I think the analogy I'm going to make. Sharks fans are just like Cowboys fans in the NFL. This is our year, every single year. And what does every single year happen? The Sharks disappoint in the playoffs.
Okay, but hold on here. So I know what you're saying about the Sharks, but being a Red Wings fan right now, we have no room to talk about
we have
anything.
no room to talk. I'm not saying our team's better. Like, your team is way better. The Sharks are way better than us. I'm just saying, at least we could say our team sucks. The Sharks, they won't. Their fans never own up to the fact that they just lose in the playoffs. And I'm glad that she has faith in her team. Don't get me wrong. So, don't hit me too hard next time you see me. I'm not trying for that to happen, please.
No, but
I just saying, it's one of those things that have faith in your team. But yeah, you're better than us.
They might choke in the playoffs. But my concern with this Red Wings team is that we can have a 3-1 lead going into the third period, or 4-1 lead, and we'll find a way to lose. Like that's legitimately how it is right now. We don't have any peer closers on this team. But no. I don't want to go too far into detail because I know right now I can tell you, I can talk all day about what the Red Wings should do or could do to make this team better. And there's just so many moves that they could do. But let's start with getting Victor Mete. Let's bring him in. That'll be a good start. Even though I would like to see some goalie come in. I would love to see it. But right now, I'll stick with Victor Mete. Just do that and make some Red Wings fans happy. All right, so Nate said he'd rather choke in the playoffs than not make it at all.
Next
Is
topic.
it? I don't know. That's kind of one of those questions because you ask yourself that if you know you're going to lose in the playoffs, would you rather not make the playoffs for a better draft pick? I mean,
this guy would, but
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a tough choice. So our next topic is, and it's kind of early predictions, but we're going to go for our way too early Stanley Cup picks. And so with this one, J-Mac, I'll go ahead and start with you. So you go ahead and give me your way too early Stanley Cup predictions.
You guys ready for this one?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
He's going to tell you. He's going to tell you. I think it's this way. Hold on. This guy. No, this guy. Whatever. Anyway, he's going to tell you that I'm absurd. This ain't the right answer. Is what it is. But I'm here to tell you, it's going to be the Boston Bruins and the Colorado Avalanche
What?
in the Stanley Cup Finals this year. And the Bruins take it 4-2.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, Greg, I'm going to go to you on this. Who do you have in the way too early Stanley Cup predictions here?
I'm rolling with the Maple Leafs and the Vegas Knights, baby.
Woo! Wow.
Well, I
That-
figure, I got to go big because I would probably be a millionaire right now if I would have bet against the Atlanta Falcons all season long. So I got to make up some dough here.
You got to make up some dough. So, you're going with the Maple Leafs and the Knights?
Yeah.
Who wins?
Ooh.
I'm thinking, I've been talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I think that the Vegas Knights are going to win. I think they're going to pull it off.
Whew.
I think they're a dangerous team. I mean, they're running gun. They're pretty explosive. They've got some weapons. So I don't know. For a team that's pretty new into the league, they're pretty on fire. You don't see this very often from teams that are 2, 3, 4 years old. Being this good so early. So
Yeah,
I think
but
they got something special going on in Vegas.
well, yeah, because think about the Vegas Golden Knights' first year. They made it to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year as a team.
Yeah.
That's not something you ever see. So that is crazy. So for me personally, I'm not going to go with the Bruins. I think that I truly think that the Lightning is going to be there again. I don't know how you could go away from the Lightning right now. It's so hard. It's so hard. But the one thing I will say though is that, Greg, I don't want to say you're wrong about the Maple Leafs. But here's the thing. Yeah, absolutely. I will. I don't want to say it, but I will say you're wrong. But the reason why I don't want to say it is because I would like them to make it because of so many years of just epic failing that so many people.
Wait a minute. Wait. Okay. Wow. I don't even know what to say to that. Like, you already said the Sharks, and then you threw the Red Wings in there. Like, don't get my hopes up, please.
Sharks and Red Wings and Sharks wins?
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
I gotta say something about the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
Like I was talking about with Kukra being gone out for the season with hip surgery, and he was their best player statistically. They're not missing a beat without him. So it'd be very scary to see with him completely healthy right now. But I'm with you on Tampa Bay being a very good force to reckon with. And I think that they do have a shot as well. I mean, I've never seen a team that's missing its best player, not missing a beat, and actually having, not being really any worse than they were the season before. And they're defending champs, so you can't count them out.
So I just want to clarify this because for anybody who truly believes that it would be the Red Wings against the Sharks and the Sharks wins, that is one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. And number one right now, because there's no way you're going to take a 3-10 Detroit Red Wings team and put them in the Stanley Cup Finals. And then you have a San Jose Sharks team that's at 5-6, and you're going to put them in Stanley Cups? No way that's going to happen. No way. Do I think the Lightning's going to repeat? I don't think they're going to repeat as Stanley Cup champions. but they're definitely going to be there. And right now, I'm not too sure who else they're going to be there with. I want to say, I don't know. It's so hard. But right now, one of my teams, I'll tell you right now, is going to be Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be there again, but they're not going to win it. But I'll let you know my other team later. I haven't officially decided on that one yet. So before we go on to our next topic, Nate's even saying he's laughing really, really hard about that last comment about the Sharks and the Red Wings because that was freaking crazy.
The Red Wings have the second fewest points in the NHL. Only Ottawa is worse. One team is worse. Just saying.
Yeah, and and Ottawa's terrible, and Detroit's not much better. So if that tells you anything. All right, so our final topic that we're going to get into right now is we're going to get into the top 5 Oilers goalies of all time. And with this one, I'll go ahead and I'll start with Greg on this one. So Greg, who's your top 5 Oilers goalies of all time?
Okay. Outside of the top 5, I want to give a shout out to a guy that I think could easily be in the top 5, probably the top 3 if he would have came to the Oilers in his prime. So I have him kind of on the outside looking in. That's Nikolai Khabibulin. He was pretty good. I mean, in my opinion, he's probably in the top 50, top 60 goalies all time. He's the first Russian born goaltender to win a Stanley Cup with the 2004 Tampa Bay Lightning. He was a tremendous goalie back in the day. He came to the Oilers a little bit outside of his prime, but he would have been probably a top 3 for the Oilers if he would have came maybe 4 or 5 years younger.
All right, so yeah, which was going to be my question. I was going to say, because we know how good of a goalie he was. So right. I was going to ask you and say, what made you decide to keep him out of the top 5?
I was just going to keep him out of the top 5 just because when he played for the Oilers, he just wasn't quite the exceptional goalkeeper that he was years prior. That's the only reason I'm keeping him out. He had some good games and stuff, but I think that he just showed up a little bit later, in his career when he just wasn't quite the premier backstop, that he once was. So, but I think he was a tremendous player. He good guy. Like I said, the first Russian-born player to goalkeeper to ever win a Stanley Cup and play in the finals. So, I wish I could put him in the top 5, but I have him on the outside just because he didn't play, too long for the Oilers, and he just kind of was getting limited playing time at times. So, but anyway, I'm going to move on to my top 5. Number 5 for the Oilers, I got Curtis Joseph. Played 3 seasons. They made the playoffs in, I think, 3 of those years. He had like a ton of shutouts. I think he was like 4th in shutouts, during that span. He was a really good player. I didn't play too many seasons. Number 4, I got Bill Ranford. Bill Ranford, he played 10 seasons. He won a Stanley Cup trophy in 1990. He won over 160 games. Really good backstop for the Oilers. Number 3, I got Tommy Salo. He had 23 shutouts. He made the playoffs for 3 straight years. Played 1998 to 2004 for the Oilers. Very good player. Helped lead them to the playoffs. Here's where it gets tricky. I have Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr in the top 1 and 2. I think Andy Moog is kind of like one of those forgotten men. He was a really good player, but back when he was playing and they were winning all those championships in the mid to late 80s, all these hockey teams were kind of rotating their goalkeepers. They were playing, 2 goalkeepers a night. So he was be a backup, come in and everything. But Andy Moog, he played 7 seasons. He went 143 and 53 in those years for the Oilers. He won 3 Stanley Cups, a couple All-Star appearances. Very good. Very good. I think he played in like 6 or 7 Stanley Cups. So he was a very good backstop. So I'd probably put Grant Fuhr, obviously, as the number 1 Oiler backstop goalkeeper. He won 4 Stanley Cups. Let's see. The only thing that kind of threw me off on Grant Fuhr is that he had a goals against average of around 3.43 to 3.91, which is pretty high for a guy that's considered one of the best goalkeepers of all time. But considering the run and gun style that the Oilers played way back in the day when they won those 4 championships, that's pretty respectable, because they didn't leave them with a lot of help sometimes with the run and gun style. Kind of left them unprotected. So, yeah, I'd say that Grant Fuhr would be my number 1 Oiler goalkeeper.
All right. So that's an awesome list, Greg. I love your list. I can't say that I disagree with you on that. So, J-Mac, go ahead and give us your top 5 list.
Well, that's why I hate it when you let other people go first. Because
trust me, I agree with you.
The 4 through 1 is all the same. Well, same players, a little bit different order. Number 5's different, though. For me, that was Dwayne Rollielson. I believe I'm saying the last name right. But, I mean, he was only there for 3 years, and he was a little under 500. But he gets on that list because of how he played in 2006 in the playoffs. He was – you couldn't score against him in 2006 in the playoffs. And he almost single-handedly took them to the Stanley Cup that year. And I just think that's why he lands so high on this list. And it's for 1 year, and I know that. And criticism for that, if you want, that's fine. But that's why he's a little bit ahead of Curtis Joseph. Curtis Joseph would have been my number 6, by the way. So that's a great pick, though, Greg. I got no disrespect there. Curtis Joseph right on the outside looking in, but he was great too. And then Ranford was 4 for me for all the reasons you said. He won 160 games. He won the Conn Smythe Trophy. What else do you say about the guy that you haven't said already? Yeah, and then you got Tommy Salo, just 2 All-Star games, 23 shutouts, playoffs in 4 straight years, all the stuff you mentioned. For me, it's really hard to put Grant Fuhr first, even though he is considered one of that. But it's because of the reason you brought up, goals against. That's why I couldn't put him first. And I know how good he was. I'm not saying that he was great. One of the best of all time, but it's just
they
that.
left him unprotected a lot, though, with their style of play.
And they did, and I agree with that. And then that's a good point. You could put him or Moog at first, and you're really not going to be wrong on either one. Just throwing that out there. For me, Moog was first, and really the only reason is because I'm a big wins-loss guy, and Moog was 143 and 53. He won 90 more games than he lost in his career. And I mean, 2 All-Star games, won 3 Stanley Cups. I mean, you could go 2 or 1 either way, and I don't think either way is wrong. So there's no point.
I was kind of torn on those 2 too. The only reason I put Grant Fuhr in the number 1 is because he had like 36 career assists.
Mm-hmm.
And then that is for Fuhr too. So
yeah,
I mean,
he
either
had
way,
12 assists in the playoffs too. So
right.
I mean, that's what put him over the top for me.
Yep.
But I love Andy Moog. Good player.
Yeah,
great player.
It's great. I mean, it's a great list. It's a great list. I mean, they have a great history, so you could pull a lot of different players on there. I mean, I can give one more shout out. You got Matthew Guerin. He was only there for 1 year, but he was 26 and 18, and they just missed the playoffs. And a lot of that was due to him. So, I mean, that's another guy you could throw in there that done a great job. So, I mean, it was a hard list. It was a hard list to come up with just 5, to be honest. It really was.
So I'll tell you, I love your guys' list. And the hard thing about going last is because you guys, have basically already touched on pretty much the top 5 Oiler goalies of all time. So there's really not much more I can add to it that's already there because you guys have my lists. So with that, though, before we called it the first show of What the Puck, we actually had something special planned for our fans tonight. And it's the first ever trivia question for fans. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to ask you the trivia question. Now, we're not going to answer it tonight. We'll be back next week to where we'll actually give you the answer. So fans, here comes the trivia question. J-Mac's going to ask you that question. And coming into next week, be ready with the answer. So J-Mac, go ahead and take it away.
Okay, so I was a little bit unprepared for this, but I do have a trivia question for you. And that trivia question would be, we're going to start off with an easy one. We will start it off easy for the fans. We want to get everyone engaged in this show, so we're not going to make it difficult. But do your research, send us an answer, and we'll reveal that to you next week. We may even have a prize for the winner next week. We'll surprise you on that. So the question is, counting the World Hockey League and the National Hockey League combined, what franchise has the most championships of all time? So submit your answers to any one of the 3 of us on What the Puck, and we will have your answer next week. And like I said, if we get one person with the answer, we might have a prize. If we get several, we might do something fun. We might bring you on for a plug on the show. Who knows? But we'll make it fun. So submit your answers to the show.
And before we call it our first episode too, one other thing, just to make it fun. And J-Mac and Greg, you guys were probably not expecting this. But to make it fun, I figured for the viewers, this would be cool too. So what I want you to do for next week's episode is when we come on, I want you to have your answers ready for who you truly believe is going to be in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, and let us know who you think your winner is going to be. And if you predict it right at the end of the NHL season, we will have a prize for the person who picks the winning NHL team. So make sure to plug it in and let us know.
And I'll say, we'll make it worth your while. It's not going to be some little dinky prize. We'll make it nice for you. I promise.
So be ready. We want to hear your predictions. And so to repeat the question, somebody asked to repeat the question. What it is next week's episode, we want you to put in the 2 teams you believe are going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals, who you think is going to win, and even how many games you think it's going to go. Okay.
And if you need the trivia question repeated, the trivia question was, counting the World Hockey League and the National Hockey League combined, what franchise has the most championships of all time?
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll start with Greg. Greg, you have 30 seconds before the show ends to say any remaining thoughts. You have 30 seconds starting right now.
Well, once again, I just wanted to say thanks for having me on. I enjoyed every minute of tonight. It's been a while since I've talked some hockey with anybody, for that matter, let alone, on a YouTube or Facebook format. So it was a lot of fun, and it's going to be interesting to see how things go the rest of the way in the NHL. And I think that I'm going to stick with Toronto to make a run, but I don't know. I'm going to give a shout out to Nate the Great's Avalanche too. I think that they've got something going on there too. I think they're going to pick up some steam. So I just don't want Nate the Great to think that I forgot about his Avalanche. And that's all I got for tonight.
All right, J-Mac, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, two things. One, we could not do this without you. All of you out there, we appreciate you so much for watching. We could not do any of this. This is lifelong dreams being lived here, and you make this possible. And then the second thing I want to say is tomorrow night is Sports Minute. Special treat going on tonight or tomorrow night on Sports Minute, so stay tuned to that. But thanks so much for watching What the Puck tonight, and let's make this a successful show like all the other ones.
And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go with you guys and say this show to me has been exciting. I know we've even had a few fans out there who have said, "Are you guys gonna do a hockey show?" Well, guess what? The hockey show is here. It's real. It's true, and it's here to stay. So you want to listen to hockey every Friday night? We're gonna be here and we're gonna be talking hockey. So be ready because there's gonna be a lot to cover. So with that being said, before we call it night, we do have one more sponsor. So Nate the Great, if you could please bring up Anchor, please. Show us that Anchor. So Anchor is an excellent place to where, let's say you're like, you know what? I want to catch the very first episode of What the Puck on the ASAP network. Well, guess what? Anchor is going to be a great place to catch that. Just wait for us to download it. So I would say give us about a day or so and it'll be downloaded on Anchor. And then you can hop on and you can listen to it because maybe you want to learn more about NHL. Well, that'll be a great place to do it. Or even if you want to start your own podcast, you're looking at us going, how did they do that? How did they start? Well, guess what? Right there, Anchor is a great way to get going. It's a great way to start. And Anchor gives you every little detail on how to start. It's super easy. It'll walk you through it. No problem at all. All right. And then, of course, last but not least, you know, as well as everyone out there, you can win one of those free ASAP Network t-shirts. All you have to do, comment, like, share. At the end of the month, we add up all the comments you had, and the person that comments the most wins one of those awesome ASAP Network t-shirts. Now, let's say you cannot come on and comment, but you still want one of those shirts. If you have a $20 bill and you're like, man, this is burning a hole in my pocket. I want to spend it and I want to get a nice shirt. Well, guess what? You don't even have to spend the full $20. You can spend $14.99 plus shipping and handling, and then guess what? You'll have some extra money to maybe go get a nice burger at McDonald's or Burger King or something. But it'll be there for you, and then you can get sizes anywhere from small to 2XL. But if you want to pay a little bit more, you can get a bigger size. So with that being said, I hope everybody had an excellent first episode of What the Puck. I hope you enjoyed it, and you can join us again next Friday for another episode of What the Puck. So everybody have a fantastic night, and we will see you again next week on the ice.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.